The Cobra 8 ESC from Castle is awesome, but as it turns out, it's got a pretty major problem. Let me show you. All of the testing I did in my previous video was with a censored motor with the sensor wire connected, and with that setup, there's no issue. Let me show you. As you can see, if I accelerate in censored mode, perfectly smooth, no issues whatsoever. However, the problem really comes in when you disconnect this sensor wire or you're running a sensorless motor. Let me show you what happens when you try to run a sensorless motor with this ESC. Now in sensorless mode, if I give it full throttle, you can see there's definitely a problem. Sometimes it works, but most of the time, it does not. Now my first thought was, maybe this is cogging, but this is a pretty big motor, and this is pretty conservative gearing for this motor, so I really don't think it's cogging. In addition, this problem happens when it isn't at a standstill as well. Let me show you what happens when you try to give it full throttle on a jump. So my next thought was, well, maybe it's this specific motor or Castle motors in general, so let's put the stock motor back in and see if we have the same problem. I'll get this wired up and let's go see if we have the same problem. Let's see what happens with the stock motor. Work that time. Work that time. There it goes, same problem. Okay, so it is not motor specific, at least with these two motors. Okay, so as you can see, this does seem to be a problem with the ESC. Let's take a look at the log and see what we find. Everything in the log looks okay to me. You can see the RPM is going up and down as we saw outside. The throttle is still at full throttle, and I don't really see anything that would indicate a problem in the logs. Let's go ahead and make sure there isn't a firmware update available. No, we're still on the original firmware. All right, next thing for me to do is give Castle a call. I just spoke with Castle support, and yes, this is a known issue with this ESC. The gentleman at support said make sure you use a censored motor. They are working on firmware that is going to update this and hopefully fix this problem. But for now, this Cobra 8 does not work properly with sensorless motors. So you're gonna need a censored Castle motor or another censored motor in order to use this right now. They didn't give me a time frame for when they're gonna be coming out with the firmware update, but they did say it should be soon. And they also told me they're gonna be coming out with some new features, including some crawler features, which should be interesting to see. What do you guys think about this premium product with a glaring defect? I think this should have been caught in testing. I suspect that the testing firmware that they were using didn't have this problem, or the ESCs that they were testing with didn't have this problem, and it was something that only showed up with production. However, I still think they should have caught it before sending it out to customers. What do you think about that? Let me know down in the comments. I'll be retesting this as soon as the new firmware comes out. Make sure you get subscribed so you don't miss that, and then check out one of these videos.